Welcome. This video discusses order fulfillment within the Facebook local currency payment system. After the user completes the purchase flow, the developer is responsible for checking the status of the payment and completing the order, rewarding the user with the virtual item or currency they just purchased. Facebook provides two primary methods through which you are notified of the outcome of a purchase, and a further method by which you at any time can look up and verify payment information. This diagram illustrates a typical purchase flow between the user, Facebook, and the developer server. Firstly, the user invokes the payment flow, as discussed in part 3 of this video series. Facebook will then optionally contact the developer server for product information, if using dynamic pricing. This is discussed in part 2 of this video series. Facebook will then render the pay dialog, and the user will confirm the purchase. We now enter the order fulfillment portion of the flow. Two things happen at the same time. Firstly, Facebook will instantly respond, closing the pay dialog and invoking a JavaScript callback with details about the purchase. This is fulfillment method 1. Secondly, Facebook will send a real-time update to the developer server with purchase information. This is fulfillment method 2. As order fulfillment method 1 happens client-side, it is potentially vulnerable to user tampering and fraud. Consequently, you will typically want to verify server-side that the purchase is valid. Facebook provides encrypted order information via the JavaScript callback. This information is therefore passed back to the server for secure verification. Finally, assuming the purchase is valid, the developer server provides the virtual good purchased and completes the order. In addition, at any time, you can query Facebook via the Payments Graph API for details on a given transaction. Let's look in more detail at the first fulfillment method shown in the diagram, the JavaScript callback. The developer defines this callback function and then passes it as the second argument when invoking the pay dialog. Full details on this are covered in part 3 of this video series. Once the purchase flow completes, the Facebook JavaScript SDK will execute this callback and will pass to it details about the transaction. Here, we're inside the Facebook sample game Friend Smash. I've set a breakpoint inside the callback, which is triggered after the purchase flow has completed. Here you can see the set of parameters passed to the callback. Payment_ID. This is Facebook's unique identifier for this transaction. You can use this as a canonical reference to this transaction when querying for details about it through the Payments Graph API. This will be discussed later in this video. Quantity. This is the amount of your given item that the user has purchased. Note that this can be different from the amount you originally specified when spawning the pay dialog due to price jumping. Status. This is the current status of the order. An order can be in one of 3 states. Initiated. An initiated payment designates the payment is underway but not yet complete. You should not fulfill an order with this status. You may see this for certain payment methods which require a long time to settle. For example, some require a user to fill out a form online and physically take it to their bank to pay. Completed. This means the payment was successfully completed. You should fulfill orders with this status. Failed. This designates a failed payment. You should not fulfill an order with this status. Finally, as mentioned before, as the JavaScript callback is executed client-side, it is susceptible to user tampering and forgery. You therefore must confirm the details of the transaction securely before fulfilling the order. To assist, Facebook provides a signed request field, which contains the same data as above, but in a cryptographically encoded state. You can pass this field back to your server and decode it using your app secret to verify the user has not tampered with the purchase flow. The details of how to parse a sign request are beyond the scope of this video, but check out the URL listed here for more information. As an alternative to the sign request, you can verify the purchase by passing the payment ID to your server, and then calling the Payment Graph API to confirm the information. This is covered later in this video. Now let's take a look at the second order fulfillment method, RealTime Updates. There are circumstances where the JavaScript callback may not be triggered. A scenario when this might occur is if a user closes their browser before the payment process completes and the pay dialog closes. Facebook therefore provides this second method for purchase fulfillment. The way this works is via a subscription. You define with Facebook a callback URL, which Facebook will contact with details on a transaction when they change. You can subscribe to RealTime Updates either through the Graph API or via your developer app settings page. Here, in the RealTime Updates section, you fill out the following fields. Object. This is the type of real-time update you are requesting from Facebook. Here we're interested in the Payments object. Fields. You can request information on one or more type of update. The two we're interested in for payments are Actions and Disputes. This will mean Facebook will update the callback whenever a payment state changes, i.e. from initiated to completed, or when a payment is disputed by a user. Callback. This is where you specify the URL you want Facebook to contact when an update occurs. Verified token. This is a method by which you can test to ensure Facebook can contact your server. Here, you provide a string of your choosing. You then hit test and Facebook will issue a test update to your callback URL. You are required to respond to verify the callback is valid and was contacted successfully. Here is some basic sample code that responds to the real-time update. This if clause handles the verification step with Facebook. Facebook will issue the get parameter hub_verify_token, which will contain the string you provided, and hub_challenge, which is a random string. In order to confirm with Facebook this callback is valid, you are required to respond with just the hub_challenge string. Facebook will confirm the test was successful and that you're now subscribed. Once subscribed, whenever there's a change in the Actions field of a payment made in your app, Facebook will notify the specified callback, whether it's been charged, refunded, or disputed. You can then check the current status of the payment by querying the Payment Graph API. Keep in mind that a payment can be updated after it's been marked as complete, for instance when Facebook updates it with a refund, a chargeback, or a chargeback reversal. You can at any time query the Payment Graph API for information about a payment. By specifying either the payment ID received via the JavaScript callback or the real-time update, or a request ID described in part 3 of this video series, you can query Facebook for the current status of any payment transaction. If the payment ID is known, the payment details attached to that transaction can be retrieved by simply contacting the graph at the /paymentID endpoint with an app access token. Assuming both the token and payment ID are valid, Facebook will respond with the following JSON encoded data. Here you can see the product and quantity purchased, the amount paid, the currency, and the time of purchase. The actions array here will contain a complete history of this transaction, including any refunds or chargebacks that have occurred. This gives you a chronological breakdown of changes that have happened to this transaction, allowing you to reconcile your records and take action appropriately. Alternatively, you can query for a complete list of transactions made by an individual user in your app. Here you contact the /userid/payment_transactions endpoint, again using an app access token. Assuming again that both the user ID and access token you provide are valid, Facebook will respond with the following JSON, listing all the transactions for a given user within your app. The details for each individual purchase are the same as before, but as you can see, multiple transactions have been listed, allowing you to see a complete history of activity for this user. The Payments API will always remain a trustworthy, fraud-proof source of truth about the processing of payments on behalf of your app. For a complete reference of all the parameters the Payment Graph API provides, navigate to developers.facebook.com/docs/reference/API/payment. For more information on order fulfillment, please see the URL listed here. Thanks.